Hey everybody, it's Darek Mazzone. This is Sama Seattle Sacred Music and Art. We are based in Seattle. It's been a busy few months since the pandemic waned. We've been in Korea, Poland, Portugal, and I'm here right now with Ranee Ramaswamy and Aparna Ramaswamy, artistic directors of Ragamala Dance Company. They are going to be performing Thursday, February 9th, Friday, February 10th, and Saturday, February 11th. That's 3 nights in Seattle at the Meany Center at the University of Washington.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us. We're so happy to be here with you, Darek, and with your audience, and we are really looking forward to our engagement in Seattle. So thank you for making time for us.
Tell us a bit about Fires of Varanasi. What are we going to experience at Meany Center on February 9th, 10th, and 11th?
I'll start. So Varanasi is a pilgrimage site for the Hindus in India. It's one of the largest pilgrim place, and the river Ganges flows through Varanasi. And Hindus, I mean, there are a billion of us and or more, consider that going to if you go to Varanasi and you die there, or if your ashes are taken to the river Ganges, then we all believe in reincarnation, that the next birth would get better, or if we are so good that we may have ascension, we would go reach God. So it's always thinking about not just this life, but it's the next life. So we are actually making sure through all these rituals, through entering in, putting the ashes of our dead into the Ganges, that we are opening up another avenue for them to have better life.
Are you performing with a band, or is it a backing track, or how does that work?
So we worked with composers and with musicians in India to create the score for this piece. It's 82 minutes long. And originally, so actually when COVID first kind of set upon us, all of our musicians from India were in Minnesota with us in a residency to create the music for this piece. We were 3 days in. We had done so much planning and discussion with them. We had a pretty firm foundation for it, but we were supposed to have 2 weeks together to make a preliminary recording, and then they were going to come back 6 months later, record the final track, and then we were going to set off on tour. Well, you know how that turned out. And so a year and a half later, we actually recorded everything online with them. So we were in the studio with them, we were listening to the recordings. I mean, it was a year of sending recordings and videos back and forth, and then a million tweaks, mixing it several times. I mean, it was just quite a large undertaking. But these musicians are just incredible. They're amazing. And we had always intended to have this piece recorded because it's such a large stage work. It's a theatrical work with this big stage set. Often we do perform with live music, but for this we made a decision not to. And so that hadn't changed because of COVID, but the whole method of creating the music and the dance and with the music together, that completely changed.
I don't want to get overly religious, but there's way different types of religious faiths. Some believe that you're going to go someplace and that's it. Some believe that it's a cycle. Some don't believe anything at all. But there's this connection that we have. We're all in one place right now. It's like this is our planet, and our planet is going through all these different things. We've been through a lot, but over the last 3 years, that closeness to death was really prevalent. It was right there. I'm curious, and I might be just projecting, which I do quite a bit. And when you're doing a piece like Fires of Varanasi, and the story of your father and how he wanted to end his life, where he wanted to, and this, going back to the idea that India is a universe in its own. This history, the Ganges, and where your ashes go. How does that work? The rebirth process. How does the reality of what we all went through play into doing this piece? I understand the personal story of your father, but you're artists, so obviously, you're not living in a monastery. You're not seeing what's going on in the world. What's happening in the world is affecting you. Curious if you could, kind of riff on that with me. How does that work to create this piece now?
For Hindus, spirituality is not when you say that we are not in a monastery, because God is not separate for us. In our dance, if we are talking about the lover, he is God. So we can see the female, male gods and goddesses as husbands, wife, children, mother, father, and incorporate all this into motion, expressive dances, where you have this variety of situations where where it's not God is there and I'm going to just worship him or worship her. It is you bring them close to you, to your heart. You are a seeker and you seek this love, whether it be you see him or her as your child or a lover. So the pilgrim is not just looking to prostrate or fall at the feet of the God, but one of the characters in here is a poet who travels from southern India seeking her heart companion, and that's Shiva. So she says, I have been looking for you every day. You're the only one I think of. So there is so much, what is that called? Fervor of love and other emotions that makes it such multi-layered performances that when you watch, you're not just, it doesn't look like you are going there to pray, even though the feeling is of exuberance and joy of being one with the divine. So here we are showing Kabir, who is a Muslim weaver, and for him, he doesn't believe in rituals, but he says, my body is like an old carpet. So there are many layers and feelings that come across. Celebrations of the river. If you go to the Ganges, you will see thousands of lights being lit and let them afloat, because each one is offering their deep desire in the form of a light into the water. And the Arati ceremony, where they are invoking the light, the sun in the morning, the gods in the evening. So all of them has a sense of celebration. Even death, because it's not final, it is not gray. It is actually joyous, because you are leaving this body and your soul goes into a younger body. It's a, mystery. So you're not ending saying, okay, I'm done. It opens many other doorways. Mm-hmm. So this is reflected in the poems that we select, the ragas or the melodies that go with the music. So they all offer a complexity of emotions.
Our interest in this piece, obviously, every human being is part of this cycle, this life cycle. For us as South Asians who lived away from our home country, what this experience of my grandfather passing and everything that we experienced in terms of the rituals of that and the symbolism of that deepened our understanding of what immigrants go through in the diaspora. And so we wanted to share our story, because every human has their own story. They have their ancestral stories, their cultural stories, and their traditions and their rituals of life and death. And so the fact that we were able to create this piece, present this piece, this is just one perspective. But what it really allowed us to do is have conversations across faith, across culture, traditions, age, generational differences about these rituals and stories and family traditions around life, death, belief, hope, resilience. And those became real during the pandemic. People needed to talk about those things. They wanted to. And I don't think that we are not offering anybody any answers to make death any easier. But what we are doing is saying that in the way that we were raised to believe and in our beliefs, the value is that you live each day filled with meaning, because you're always also talking about death and the afterlife and what comes next. And so what you do today will affect your next life and your next life and your next life. And so therefore all of your actions are interconnected. All of the elements of the piece brings a certain a current moment, a contemporary quality to all of these rituals that have existed throughout history. So those are things that drew us to this piece and continue to make it extremely rigorous for us, I would say, and potent, yes.
What have you learned from this, historical period of the pandemic, of lockdown and everything, that you would apply to your work from here on in?
That's a good question. I think that all of us hope that this last 2 years has taught us something, that we've actually come away with lessons that we can use. And I would say that Ranee has a great story of her COVID time and how it has changed her life and our lives, professionally and artistically.
Yeah.
Ranee, please share if you want.
Well, for me, when you're a busy performing artist, you don't really get time to slow down and think, reflect on your work. And
On the technical elements of your work.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So I completely concentrated on the expressive aspect of Bharatanatyam, where you are trying to, it's very complicated. We have in our dance form, we have both rhythmic as well as expressive aspects. The expressive aspects are actually harder, and to be communicating with the audience, but at the same time not to just mime, but really to be doing justice to that takes a lot of practice. And I'm an aging dancer, so I decided that I am going to move from doing this rhythmic, physical dance to doing more of the expressive. And I think I actually succeeded. I bought 2 video cameras and kept dancing and looking at myself and critiquing it and trying to really understand what I need to do in order to make the audience really understand what I'm doing. So I think that did a huge service to myself, that now I feel so confident that my age, my experiences, and the work that I did makes my dance a lot more real and natural than what it was. I appreciate the time I got to do that, and it came out with a good result for me.
Okay, beautiful. That's a great story. I appreciate that. Thank you. I so look forward to seeing it. I so look forward to sharing it. Ranee, Aparna, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for leading a wonderful conversation.
Oh, thank you. I will see you at Meany Center for the Arts in
Thank you.
February for